welcome back to PSA TV. This is Eye on Label. Welcome one and all, wherever you're joining us from. This is PSA TV. And of course, let me say hi and special good morning going out to June Siulal, Mr. Boxer Potts, who's been an avid viewer of our show. Mr. Wendell Carrington, Kelvin Wayne, Carrie Angel Vaughan, and let's see some comments here. Very much in support of our show this morning here. So, on set, I've got with me, to my right, I've got Mrs. Dixie-Ann Williams James. She is the chairperson of the Chaguaramas Development Authority, section chair. And to her right, I've got Mr. Keegan Toyloy. He is the vice chairperson of the section chair for the CDA. Good morning, guys. How are you? How are you all this morning?
We are okay. Thanks for having us.
Considering everything that has been going on, you know, how are you guys?
We are right.
We're okay.
We could be better, but we are right.
All right. So, just in case our viewers aren't fully briefed with what has been going on at the CDA, of course, our president, Mr. Watson Duke, has responded yesterday. I'm just going to read to you briefly about, well, an article from the Guardian newspaper, I believe it is here. So, the president of the Public Services Association, Watson Duke, claims government is trying to destroy the Chaguaramas Development Authority to run a Chaguaramas Peninsula as Disney World. He voiced his opinion yesterday during a Facebook live video in response to the announcement by the CDA of impending job cuts to the authority. Sending a message to the Prime Minister, he said, "Do not take God out of your thoughts and think you can go to devastate CDA in your dying moments of your political career and give it to the bourgeois." He warned that from next week he will put on his PSA hat and deal with the situation as he sees fit. In a statement on Tuesday, we see the CDA, of course, hinting that there may be a possible staff rationalization, quite a fancy term for retrenchment, of course. So today what we're going to do is just follow up a bit, of course, on what exactly has been happening down at the CDA.
Well, the Chaguaramas Development Authority Management and Board has been misleading the public with lies to fulfill their agenda to retrench workers. I say that to say they have been saying that they have met with the unions, they have been in discussion with the unions. We are here to refute those claims. As far as the Public Services Association is concerned, no meaningful talks has happened to date with the PSA and CDA's management. The CDA management has been trying to meet with the PSA since January of this year. And PSA has been coming to meet with them. The first meeting they tried to schedule with the PSA did attend. It was attended by first Vice President, Mr. Ian Murray, second Vice President, Mr. Cover. When they got to the CDA was not prepared to meet with them. They did not have all the information. The person that was supposed to sit and chair the meeting was not present, which was the IR consultant. So Mr. Cover would have asked them for certain information. This was the 9th of January. He would have asked them for certain information. And they said they would forward the information to his office no later than January 14th. To date, the information, the documents that he has requested has not been forwarded. They wrote again and scheduled a meeting with him. I think it was on the, if I'm not mistaken, they scheduled a meeting with him sometime in July, and they called, probably the 11th, they called and they asked to reschedule the meeting. He said, no problem, reschedule the meeting. They did in fact reschedule the meeting for the following week. That was the 26th of July. Mr. Cover again attended the meeting. When he attended the meeting was chaired by an IR consultant, the HR manager, and the legal manager. The whole tone of the meeting, they came in with no information. You are calling the PSA to talk about temporary layoffs, as the letter suggested.
Yeah.
You came to the meeting with no information. You came to the meeting, the IR consultant told Mr. Cover, we are here to discuss layoffs, speak. Mr. Cover then asked for certain information. They didn't have any information. He asked them certain questions. He said, well, you know, you called me to a meeting to discuss layoffs and how it would affect my membership. So I'm going to ask for certain information. They had no information to give him. He asked certain questions. They couldn't answer the questions. If you're calling the union to discuss layoffs, if you are telling the union
you must have
that you're under financial constraints, you have to have cogent evidence to support your claim. They had no evidence to support their claims. Mr. Cover would have said, okay, no problem. So we will reschedule a meeting. He asked for certain information again. He rescheduled a meeting for the 31st of July. There were no objections made. He asked them to provide him with certain information. He listed the information. It was minuted. There were no objections. He showed up for the meeting, the rescheduled meeting on the 31st of July, and he was stopped. As he tried to enter the compound, they stopped him. As he tried to enter the building, they told him he could not enter the building. He asked his membership to meet with him to inform us as to the situation. Again, they sent security behind us to ask us to come off the compound.
So you told them no.
So we stood there under a tree, in hot sun, no respect for the union, no respect for the employees. We had to stand up under a tree to hear exactly what it is going on. So for the CDA to be putting out there in the public domain that they have been meeting with unions, they have not been meeting with the PSA. They have not been meeting, and when they do meet, it's not in good faith. They have not been meeting and treating with the Public Services Association, and we need to make that absolutely clear. You cannot call the PSA to a meeting to discuss issues that affects workers, and you don't have the evidence. The PSA have no information as to how much debt the CDA is in, but the public knows how much debt. How is that meeting and treating? How is
Days
that
after
meeting?
the PSA requested the info, you could put out a statement in the papers with the figures, right?
Yeah.
Why couldn't you give us those figures before?
I think it shows it's blatant disrespect.
It's disrespectful, and it's a part of their bigger picture. They don't really want to meet to deal with the situation. They have an agenda.
Yes.
They have an agenda. So if this should reach the court, they're going to say that they just have it down that, okay, on this day the union was here for a meeting, so we met with them. On this day they were here for a meeting. But what was actually said in those meetings, nothing came out of those meetings. Those meetings went nowhere. The meetings didn't even last all of 5 minutes.
As workers yourselves, how do you feel? What is the environment, as a matter of fact, down there?
It's very, the atmosphere is heavy. It's a heavy atmosphere. Workers, we come into work and we are coming to work and doing what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But we work in an environment that we feel is restraining us, you know? Somebody looking over our shoulders all the time. If we leave our desk for too long a period, we might be reprimanded for it, you know, that kind of environment.
And now there is the fear of workers being sent home. Of course, that is something that's in everybody's mind, I'm sure. It's very unfortunate at the end of the day, and knowing that we've seen, like I was talking to the previous guest before about this, we've seen a wave of retrenchments. But do you think in your capacity that retrenchments, that's the way out?
No, retrenchment can never be a way to fix anything. I mean, this government, sorry to say, they came into office and look at how many workers have been sent home. And you keep saying that is because of the current climate, the financial constraints that the entire country is undergoing, but you're just retrenching workers, and you're sending thousands of workers home. So my thing is, how could that be good for the economy?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have money to spend, how it goes, how could it go back into the economy? It cannot be that everything that you do is to send workers home. And under this board, I would say, without fear, under this previous board that is running the Chaguaramas Development Authority, they have retrenched workers twice already in 4 years. And they have only retrenched, thus far, monthly paid staff. So it's a very uncomfortable environment because retrenchment has come up again, and yes, this time it's across the board where they're actually looking to retrench not only monthly paid staff but also the daily paid and the estate police. But again, the monthly paid staff, we started off with like 100 persons. We are down to like 45 people, right? And now you're coming to touch us again. And we are saying our colleagues, we are working, in most departments, persons are doubling up.
Yeah, I remember
right?
the last time
working
you were
outside
here.
of their substantive posts. We work under conditions where we don't even have stationery. We provide our own stationery, right? The authority doesn't even provide stationery for us. So we have been trying to manage as best as possible. We understand the financial constraints. They have taken away COLA from us. Since 2014, we haven't been paid COLA. We have not been issued uniforms since 2010. We have not been paid our back pay for the period 11 to 13. All of these things we work under constraints, but we come out and we do the work. And now you're coming back to say that you want to retrench again. So we are already down to skeletal staff. When you send home our colleagues, the work has to be done, right? Because the positions are still there, the duties are still there. So people have to double up, triple up in some instances.
Without
and we are
any
doing that.
salaries.
So you're coming back to say that you're going to retrench again. How many of us are you going to retrench? How many monthly paid staff are you going to retrench again? We are only, and the 45 people I'm speaking about is holistically, it's management, it's administrative persons, it's car park attendants, surveillance officers, are what makes up the 45 persons that I am speaking about.
Yeah.
So really, when it is you come and you retrench administrative staff again, who is going to do the work?
It's going to fall on somebody's shoulder.
Exactly.
And I remember the last time you were here, you were telling me that, working is not a problem.
No, it's not.
And you all were willing to work. But now I think this has gone way too far.
It has gone way too far, and you see, there's a certain way to do things. If you're not doing it, and you're blatantly disregarding meeting and treating with an issue,
Yeah.
right? You're being disrespectful. We could put aside the union because we know that they have a personal issue with Mr. Duke, right? Politically, I could say that,
Okay.
right? Politically, they see him as a threat because he has his own party, political party. But union-wise, right? Because you treat the PSA different than you treat the NUJ and the GFW, and you treat us different to how you treat the EPA, the Estate Police Association, right? And it should not be like that.
No.
It should be the same treatment across the board, right? 2 weeks, the minister put out a statement in the papers that she will schedule meetings with the unions. 2 meetings that we were scheduled with the minister are cancelled, right? And then we hear that 2 meetings cancelled, and then this press release comes out in the papers from the CDA, right? How do you expect us to feel, right? It has come to, we're not in work this morning. But it has come to our attention that Amalgamated is already stationed at the head office at the CDA. So it means that you all are going ahead with doing what you're doing. But so by coming and putting out press releases and saying that you're all meeting with the unions, it's
So
false.
it's contradictory.
It's false. It's contradicted. It's false information.
And not
Right?
only
We are,
that-
as the workers, we're not refuting the claims of us being in debt. We are in debt.
Yeah.
We are in debt. But what has the two? We have two boards that the second board term is coming up to our end again. What has the board done to bring us out of this situation? They're saying that new business, but we as the workers, we know of no new business. We know of no new business, right? So what new business is speaking about to try to get us out of this situation?
And not only that, to add to what he's saying, right? You're putting out into the public that, we don't have money.
That is what I was
and
going to
stuff like
ask.
that. We have our own security department. Why have you hired Amalgamated Security? And we need to look deeper. We need to look at Amalgamated Security deeper. Now, I don't want to touch on that because that is the EPA's job to do, right? But we have our own security department. So why is Amalgamated working, doing security services for the Chaguaramas Development Authority this morning, right? We are working there and everything is a secret. It's covert. We know nothing. They never hold any discussion with staff to let staff know what is going on. Okay, so this affects staff. You think they would have called a staff meeting and said, listen, we're not coming out of the debt. And to date, we don't know what the debt is, because 1 minute you're hearing is 100,000, next minute you're hearing is 192, next minute you're hearing is 88
million.
We really don't know what the debt is. Right, under this board, a manpower audit exercise was done at a hefty sum under this board. Today, the findings of that manpower audit has not been revealed, and I suspect it's because they really didn't like the outcome of it, so it has not been put out there. These are some of the things that the PSA has been asking them for years. To date, they have not received a copy of it. To date.
CDA went before Joint Select Committee. There's any public committee. The Joint Select Committee made certain recommendations as to how to get CDA out of its debt. Were those recommendations implemented? I don't think so. Right? If it was, then maybe. So what as which we go just. You're saying we're in a financial situation, but we have contractors working for us. We have employees on contract. We have a temporary pool who is doing what the daily pay does.
Yeah.
Right? We have consultants you all hire. 2 IR consultants, a financial consultant with staff, who has 2 staff under him. Right? So how can we be in a finance? It can't be that bad and you're able to foot these bills. You understand? That is what we are saying.
At what point did you all become aware of the financial situation at CDA? Was it when the statement was released in the media, or did they come out and tell you all, well, this is what is happening?
We work at the CDA, so we see it as employees. We see it.
Yeah.
To be honest, there were months that we were fighting to pay salaries. And the reason for it, and I could say it because it was in the public domain, right? I'm not speaking about hearsay. It was in the public domain. The Prime Minister, in his new term in office, he fought for the Chaguaramas Convention, the convention center in Chaguaramas. He said it was a landmark, it was a historic site.
I remember that.
It
He
was a
fought for
national
it.
treasure.
It was a national treasure. Under the previous administration, it was leased out to somebody. So he came in, rightfully so, under his mandate, and they wanted to get the convention center back because it's a national treasure. And in getting it back, they had to pay a hefty fee, right? I believe they lost the case in the court and had to pay claims towards the the tenant who had the convention center. So since that happened, and in doing that, CDA now had to go and fight up to get money to pay this thing, right? In doing that, obviously you would be put in a financial situation, you're struggling.
An added burden
right?
to the company.
And then you fought for the convention center. Nobody's against you for fighting for it because it's a national treasure, right? But Christy, the convention center is sitting on rotting away. It's rotting away. It's rotting away. Every day you drive down there and it's rotting away in front of our eyes, and right opposite the convention center is, as Mr. Duke says, a Disney World building, right? So what is really happening? What is really happening down there? I have no problem with us being in a financial situation. Some of these things, you inherited a bill, a hefty debt. Okay, I understand. But why are you targeting the employees? We come to work every day and we do what we have to do. We are not the reason for us being in a financial situation. The reason for us not being able to come out of debt is because of mismanagement of money under the different boards and under management. That's the reason.
I mean, we've seen some investment there into the National Convention Center, and like you say now, it's just there.
Yes, the convention center was actually revenue generating, right? And they got back the convention center, and now it's just sitting there. In my opinion, maybe you should have left it with the tenant, because it's just sitting there doing absolutely nothing, right? Minister Young would have spoke about leases, illegal leases in Shagaramas through the previous government. To date, how many of those leases were revoked? To date. You know, you put it out there in the public domain, and it comes back to say, we, the workers, we are not the one making these, these mistakes. These mistakes are due to mismanagement, and then we always pay the price for it. We always pay the price for it. Yes, we are in debt, but I would say we have been managing our debt, because there was never a time where the CDA was not able to pay its employees, right? There was never. Yes, recently we started getting paid late, and my opinion, this is just a build-up to say that we under financial constraints, because we have been paying off suppliers that we have been owing. We have been paying them off. We paying utilities. There were a time that we were not doing that, and now we come back to paying off suppliers that we are owing, managing the debt, being able to pay salaries. So how could you come and say that we in so much debt? There is a bigger picture here.
Yeah, it is.
Going forward, what do you think can be done to possibly, I don't know if it's too late here, but I'm hoping we're not, to let the government reconsider its decision to retrench workers?
CDA, Shagarama, Dixie so let her speak first, because she has been there for over long. So she could.
Well, I think firstly, the line minister really needs to intervene, and they really need to have meaningful discussions with the bargaining units. They need to sit down and be honest, and the PSA is willing to come up with solutions. If it is you come to the PSA and you're saying to the PSA, listen, we're under financial constraints, we need to know how we could stay afloat. We need to know what we could do.
I'm sure there are alternate ones.
But you come to them with the proof, you come to them with the evidence, you come to them with respect. And that is lacking. That is lacking terribly. You're calling a union only on your terms. You're telling the majority bargaining unit they cannot come on a government compound to meet with its workers.
And that's against
right?
the law.
That's not private. That's not private property. Private property, right? You're stopping him. You're stopping the president by the gate. You're stopping the second vice president by the gate. No other unions are being treated like that. So why are you doing that to the PSA? Why are you doing that? You're calling people to meet. If they come ordinary to meet with its membership, and they could do that, you are stopping them. You have them outside in the sun. I mean, the respect is not there at all.
And we have not protested from day one. The PSA, we the workers have not protested, right? You have NUGFW last week was allowed to come on the compound and protest on the compound. So what is that telling us? What are we to assume? It's unfair. It's unfair treatment.
That's basically infringing on workers' rights.
That's right. And you come and you sit. This affects people, the bread and the butter. Retrenchment is not an easy thing, right?
No,
it don't have jobs out there because it's thousands of workers went home. So you're sending more people to compete with the already thousands of people that own the bread line. When you could actually sit down and have discussions. If it is they want to fix this situation, they could fix this situation. But it is a bigger agenda here, as far as I'm concerned. Because the CDA has been managing, it's that I'm not saying that we're not going through financial constraints, but the CDA has been managing its debts, right? And if it is, you're managing your debt and you need guidance,
consult your union.
Consultation is always, you're bringing in consultants to do what? To solve what?
And that is more money spending there.
Exactly.
When you can actually talk to the recognized union, which is the PSA in this case. So money would not be spending across there as well. To save money, if it is you're in a financial crisis, then why now go to a consultant? Why seek advice elsewhere when you could directly talk to the people involved with the company itself? Before we wrap things up, I just want to ask you guys, what is your hope for the CDA as we go forward?
Well, we are hoping, of course, that this retrenchment, this whole issue, it doesn't go through, because especially, I don't want to see anybody going home, not a daily paid, not a estate police, but as regards to the monthly paid workers, we have been touched so many times. We are down to skeletal. We are down to skeletal, right? We are appealing to the line minister to really intervene in the matter, to really hear both sides of the story. I am not saying for her not to hear the management side of it, but I'm asking her to also hear the worker side of it. And for us to really come to a solution where we could keep CDA afloat. Because yes, we understand that across the country, the situation that we face financially, that we face globally, but retrenchment is not, retrenching people can't be the answer to everything. Sending home workers, every time you see fit to send home workers, as I said before, under this board, we have been retrenched twice already.
Twice.
And now you're coming back. Your term is almost up, and you're coming back to retrench again.
Mr. Twilight.
I would like to see that the Chaguaramas is allowed to flourish as it should. Over the years, persons have always spoke about the peninsula being a political football, back and forth, kicking, right, between different governments. The Prime Minister has expressed previously and has shown his enthusiasm for the peninsula, and we want him to follow through on that, right? As it is now, it's not looking good for us. It looks as though they want to privatize the entire peninsula, right? The press release said we have 200 workers, and the guidelines by Ministry of Finance only allows for 132. doesn't necessarily mean they're going to keep 132 workers, right? It's just a statement they put out,
Yeah.
right? To confuse.
Just like the last line, which says that they've been in talks with the union.
Right, that's just a guideline. They could decide to send home everybody, right? It's not looking good. We appeal to the line minister. We appeal to the prime minister to really get involved and see what's going on down there, right? We, as Dixie mentioned, when we are out of jobs, to us it feels as though you're going to throw us to the dogs to fend for ourselves and fight up to find something. Some of these employees have been working CDA since they're out of school.
Yeah, that's all
right?
we know.
So when you leave there now, what are you going to do? How are they going to fend for themselves?
Yeah.
You're going to throw them out into a world where it's a dog-eat-dog world for them to find another job? It's unfair. It's unfair for them to be targeting us as the employees. It's unfair for the monthly pay and the PSA to be targeted only and all the time as it has shown thus far. And as Dixie said, we're just appealing to the minister. She really needs to get involved. We really need to have this meeting with the union, with the PSA, and see what could be done. Right? Hear our side of the story.
Yeah. Guys, I want to thank you all so much for coming on. I know it's a very pensive mood down there. So with that in mind, you all have come on and shared your side of what most people may not have even guessed has been going on down there. I think the public has seen the willingness of the workers to continue doing their job despite the odds down there. So I want to thank you all so much for coming out this morning.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so there you go. Members of the section chair from the Chaguaramas Development Authority, a genuine appeal to the Minister of Labour and to the Prime Minister going forward to possibly reconsider a decision that would not only affect workers directly, but families. Retrenchment is not something that is fun, you know. You just can't come every day or every other day and say, well, okay, I'm going to retrench this one, that one, and the other. It's something that there are alternative ways to deal with it, situations. For instance, if there's a financial crisis, again, meet with the recognized trade union. In this case, it's the PSA. On that note, we're going to toss to a really short break and come back with more. Stay with us.